Hello everyone. I hope you are doing good and safe at your homes. So TechInfoRay has come up again with another video and practicals. So this time I'll add compute layer. So let's run through the slide, and this is a part of the Journey to Cloud Technology AWS Cloud course. And for this cloud course, I have provided introduction in my previous videos. So if you want to have a look at those videos, you can watch those videos and understand about this course. So let's move to next slide. So this was the high level of that course, and I have explained in detail about the course in my previous videos about different modules and different use cases that are included in this course and different levels in which we have designed this course. So I'll not explain this in this video. You can watch previous video if you want in detail information about the cloud course. So in my previous video, we discussed about network, and in this we will discuss about compute practical demonstration. I hope you remember that in use case one, we created network layer and we created VPC, and the creation of internet gateway and attaching it to VPC, and creation of subnets, routing tables, and security groups. And I hope you remember this was the diagram. Creation of different public subnets, route tables, and security groups. So I hope you remember this one. And in this same network, we will launch our compute layer. So moving to the use case for compute layer. So this is a use case like when I'll continue with the same use case that we discussed initially, that whenever a new customer comes up, he creates a network, compute, storage, database. These are the main components of the solution. So we have covered basic network architecture, and now we will add compute layer in this. So in this compute, I'll log into AWS Cloud Console, and then also introduce you about the allocation of elastic IP address. This is also quite important concept. And then we will create one Windows Server 2019 instance, and add web server role on the server, and publish the web page over internet. And see you will find out that how easily we can create a web server, and how easily we can publish the page over the internet. And also we will create a Linux instance and install web server on Linux instance and publish it over the internet. So there are different ways of connecting to Windows and Linux instances. So I'll show you those in the practical demonstration. So let's first see how we can allocate elastic IP address. So we will log in into AWS console, and go to EC2 instances, then elastic IP address. Then we will allocate one IP address from the imagine pool, public IP address, and this elastic IP address can be associated with instances to access the instance over the internet. So and in second one, we will create Windows server and then Linux instance. So if you want to see, this is the diagram that we will come up. So that was the previous network architecture, and in this we will install one Linux instance and one Windows instance, and another Windows instance in private subnet. Then we will access this Windows server from our public Windows server, so that because this private subnet, if you remember, is not having access to internet access, so we cannot access this private subnet directly. So this is another layer of security where we are segregating the networks from external internet. And about public elastic IP address. So in this, we will allocate one public elastic IP address, and we will allocate to different instances, and then allocate to different Linux instance and access it over the internet. So this is also quite important concept of elastic IP address. You will understand it practically. So that was all for the theoretically, and let's move to let's log into AWS console and let's get back to our first practical of creation of allocation of elastic IP address. So this is our TechInfoRay login console. So if you remember, this is the username and these are the different regions, and we have logged into North Virginia, US East 1. So I'll go to the VPC and show you the different VPC and subnets that were created as a part of network layer. And then I'll allocate one IP address, elastic IP address in this. So if you come to VPCs, here are the VPCs. One is default and another is that we created as a part of yesterday demo VPC that was created 10.100/16. So if you want to detail how to create it, you can watch my previous videos, how to configure VPC, subnets, route tables, internet gateways. So let's go to elastic IP as a part of this practical demonstration. So coming to elastic IP, so you can browse it through VPC also as well as from EC2 instances. So come to VPC and then you can go to elastic IPs. So here we are into elastic IPs. So we will allocate one elastic IP address. So this is the zone network border group, US East 1. And in this, let's add tag that's quite important, department that we created yesterday, network. So allocate. So this is the public IP, elastic public IP that is allocated to us. So this is demo elastic IP. So the main, the important thing is that if you allocate elastic IP, use this, because from pricing perspective, if you are not using this public IP and you are allocating it to yourself, then you are being charged. And also when practical demonstration is over, or you are done with your practical, then release the elastic IP address. Don't keep it with you, else you will be charged for this if you are not using it. So here, once we are creating instances, then we will associate this elastic IP address to that instance, and then we will access it over the internet. So this is how you can allocate elastic IP address to different instances. So if we click on associate elastic IP address, so here we can select the instance network interface, and when we create our instances, it will show up here, and then we will associate our elastic IP address. As of now, we haven't created it, so we cannot see those instances. So let's go back and this is our elastic IP. So let's go back to presentation, and so this was the presentation of creating elastic IP address. And